very few things compared to how intriguing it is to watch team rivalries take place in the NFL. From the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints, here's some of the top most action-packed rivalries in the NFL, starting with the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. Football rivalries extend so much further than just the football field. You'll never see fans of opposing teams hang out with one another. It just doesn't happen. Team rivalries are the pinnacle of American football though, and you don't need to have the best team in order to have an exciting rivalry, which is the case with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. Though the two cities are in the same state, less than 250 miles apart, it's the difference in the people of these cities which makes this such a great rivalry. Cleveland, which is located on Lake Erie, is mostly blue-collar workers. Cincinnati, on the other hand, is known for its housing corporations like Macy's and Procter & Gamble, amidst other well-established businesses. Because of the differences between the inhabitants of both cities, the games between the two teams have become quite heated. The owners of the two teams, Paul Brown and Art Modell, absolutely hate each other too. This does nothing but fuel the rivalry between the Bengals and the Browns. The owners have been pushing this rivalry further ever since Art brought the team to the AFC for the sole purpose of clashing with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are currently leading in the rivalry with an edge of 41-36, and because they seem to have a better roster than the Cleveland team, it looks like that advantage will only double in the upcoming years. But that's not the only rivalry that was memorable. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots have put on quite the show too. For those of us who love football and keep up with every match in the NFL, we already know just how good both these teams are. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Patriots are two of the most successful teams in the league. Both teams have a combined total of 5 Super Bowl wins and have taken part in 3 more. Because of their impressive stats, the teams have run into one another on more than one occasion. This rivalry is pretty old actually. It started back in 1996 when the New England team beat the Steelers with a score of 28-3 while they were on the route to the Super Bowl. The Steelers were quick to settle the score though. They knocked the Patriots out of the divisional round in the very next playoffs. The Patriots then went on to beat the Steelers twice in the AFC Championship game. Both teams are still some of the top teams of the AFC, and it looks like this rivalry won't be coming to an end anytime soon. Kinda like the one between the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. This rivalry is one of the newer ones in the NFL, and it's definitely one of the best in the league right now. The Falcons and the Saints are some of the best teams in the NFL. The New Orleans team seems to be getting better than the Falcons recently, but Atlanta has had better stats in the all-time series at 45-40 until another team surpasses the Saints or the Falcons. It looks like this rivalry will continue to dominate the NFC South. This next one is one of my personal favorite rivalries, the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants. Their first game against one another ended up being a tie, with the score standing at 31-31. This was the start of something beautiful. Since that fateful day in 1960, the Giants and the Cowboys have been sworn enemies. This might not be the true birth of their rivalry though. If you've been keeping up with the NFL, you must have heard about the Giants coach Tom Landry's betrayal. You heard me right, that happened. Tom was drafted by the New York team and played for them 4 years before finally coaching for the team. But when the Dallas Cowboys started their franchise in 1960, Tom ditched the Giants to go coach for the Cowboys. Ouch, that must have hurt. Landry would go on to coach the Cowboys for 29 seasons, and he won 5 NFC championships and 2 Super Bowls during this time. His record against the NY team was pretty incredible too, at 37-17-2. Recently though, the Giants began to gain some edge over the Dallas team since the start of the 21st century.
He talked about the importance of God and family.
If God's first in your life and your family's important to you and then football's third, then you'll have what it takes to be successful if you have the ability to do so.
The New York team has gone 16-9 against the Cowboys. They've also won 2 Super Bowls. It looks like both teams are inching towards success, so any chance of this rivalry dying is pretty slim. And I guess the same can be said about the next two, the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. What's fun about this rivalry is that it stretches to other sports from these regions too. Sports teams in Minnesota simply cannot stand teams from Wisconsin, and I'm pretty pretty sure it's vice versa. The Wisconsinites aren't exactly the Minnesotans' biggest fans, but that's what makes this rivalry so exciting. Both the Vikings and the Packers have seen their fair share of success in the NFL. They've played in a combined total of 9 Super Bowls. Wow! They've also won 4 of those games. Unfortunately enough though, none of those 4 wins have come from the Minnesota team, and that only intensifies their hatred for one another. The Green Bay Packers are one of the most dominant teams in the NFL, and it looks like the Vikings aren't too far behind. However, no matter who has better stats, it's almost a given that every time the two teams square up against one another, it's gonna be an incredibly intense battle. And when it comes to intense rivalries, how can I forget the New England Patriots and the New York Jets? Just like the rivalry between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants, this one also reached its peak because of a coach, Bill Parcells. Bill left the Patriots after an impressive season in 1996.
His experience is so much deeper, and he has a vast knowledge now. I've had all these different players. He's gone through a cycle where he had a championship team, and now he's having
to take the job of the head coach with the New York Jets. This made him public enemy number 1 in the eyes of the Patriots, and they weren't happy with the Jets for stealing their coach. Thus began this unbeatable rivalry. Things got even more intense. Parcells' trainee, Bill Belichick, took the job of the head coach of the New England team in 2000, and that's not where it stops. Next, Belichick's trainee, Eric Mangini, became the head coach for the New York team.
There was also the level of consistency and durability with those players. So if you lose a position player who's also a long snapper, you know, you're looking at some real problems. And that evolved into
This pushed the rivalry to a whole new level. All these changing coaching allegiances have filled the players with a deep hatred for the other team. Bill Belichick also had an ongoing rivalry with the NY Jets coach, Rex Ryan. And while these teams won't be getting friendly anytime soon, here are 2 others that can't stand each other.
What were we thinking? God, I love being right.
Hey, if you need any pointers, Seth will be here. Seth, you know, my kid will be here today, so his team.
Yep, the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, these guys are known for having a rich history in the NFL. Not only have both teams been incredibly successful, they also have 2 of the best fan bases in all of NFL history. Because of their success and because of the history they share, the rivalry between the 2 teams is pretty bitter and intense. Since the start of the AFC in 1960, the teams have met a total of 106 times. The Kansas City Chiefs hold a 55-47-2 lead. What's interesting about this rivalry is how loyal each team's fans are to their respective team. Very few fans are as passionate as fans of the Chiefs and the Raiders. It's pretty refreshing to see. Anyway, that's a wrap on some of the finest rivalries in NFL history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.